Hello and welcome to my halfway finished makeup and my Nobuy Year check-in. The reason why my makeup is halfway finished is because of the lack of time. Not to prepare for the video, lack of time to film in general, and because of that now I'm doing a Nobuy Year check-in and I will be trying out some makeup from Kaleidos that I have. And before you say anything, the order was placed in 2023. It just arrived in 2024. So I didn't break my Nobuy. This is just one of those things that I have bought at the end of the year, last year. And I still haven't got a chance to properly test it. I think there's only one thing that I have not even touched, and that is the blush. But other than that, I have tried pretty much everything at least once, but I haven't applied all of them at once, and that is something that I want to do today. I don't have any Kaleidos base makeup, which is why I applied my standard base that I go for every day. And I'll continue applying my makeup using my Kaleidos stuff. For this video, I planned to talk about a few things. I definitely want it to be a bit chill, since I will be applying makeup at the same time. And I want to talk about some general thoughts and feelings that I've been having recently in my Nobuy Year. I want to talk about why I decided to not do any declutters, apart from broken or expired products. And I also want to talk about how many new products I've acquired ever since starting my Nobuy Year and how I feel about it. For my Kaleidos stuff, I will be using my Symphony Contour Trio in the shade Fair. It looks like this, and it contains a light powder, which I've determined to be kind of like a finishing powder, definitely not a setting powder. And then it has two quite cool toned shades. This one is almost gray, and this one is a bit more bronzy, but still it's not bronzy. When I was getting this, I definitely mostly wanted to get the powder. I've heard that it's similar to the Charlotte Tilbury setting powder. Currently, I don't think it would be. I've never tried the Charlotte Tilbury powder, but if the Charlotte Tilbury powder is a setting powder and this sucks as a setting powder, then I don't think they would be similar. But who knows? And yeah, because of the other powders are so cool toned, I generally don't really use them. I've definitely been reaching for other things, specifically for my Makeup by Mario cream bronzer. And surprisingly, I even have a pan on it. I did not expect that. Today I'll use my Kaleidos palette and we'll see how it goes. And I think I want to start talking about the thoughts I've been having about my Nobuy Year. Definitely the first thing that comes to my mind now that I'm thinking about it is how unbothered I feel. I didn't really expect that it will be really that easy for me. I have been seeing new releases, of course, and some of them have been quite nice and interesting. I would love to try the Rare Beauty blushes that have recently came out. There has been a bunch of lip oils that I would love to try out. But because of my Nobuy Year, and I think specifically because of how I went about it and how I really focused on making myself aware of what I currently have and how long it takes to use things up, I really don't want any of those things. One of my rules for my Nobuy Year is that I'm allowed to get a gift for myself as an exception for my Nobuy Year for my birthday. And my birthday is in July, so it's not getting close. I've been thinking ever since I started my Nobuy Year, what would it be that I would want to buy? And I think throughout this whole time, which has been 3 months so far, the idea that I had changed. But recently, whatever the idea is, I noticed that it's really focused on not getting redundant things. So the idea of getting another eyeshadow palette is not appealing because I have like 50 plus eyeshadow palettes. And on the other hand, something like, oh, maybe a brush set, because I haven't bought any brushes in a while. That seems appealing. So I've definitely noticed a mind shift there in how I think of what I acquire and really focus on making sure that I will use up that thing. This is definitely a contour palette and not bronzing palette. I don't really contour and I don't really care to contour. So I don't know how much I will use it. I feel a bit gray. Because I used my color corrector and not that much of my concealer, I feel like my under eyes are not really bright. So I'll try to use the light powder, this one, and apply under my eyes and see what it does. It doesn't do much. It definitely works as a powder. It is a powder. It's a powder formula. Of course, it works as a powder. But when I was trying to use it as a setting powder, my skin would become glowy like 3 seconds after, as opposed to when I use a proper setting powder, which is what made me think that this is better as a finishing powder and not setting. I'll probably use it that way. Would I get it again if I knew what it is? Probably in a different shade. It's not a bad product. That's not what I'm saying. I just think it's not necessarily for me. I expected the powder to be good for setting, and I didn't find it to be good for that. And both of the powders are really cool toned. I could see myself liking that look in winter, where I generally go for more cool-toned vibes, but not for summer, which is what's coming up. I think if I got to try it for a few days before making a purchasing decision, I might not purchase it. I really like the packaging though. It's metal, it's sturdy. Next thing I have from Kaleidos is a blush, and is their Mono blush in the shade Dreamwalk. As I mentioned in my inventory video, if you haven't watched it, go ahead and do that. I got this shade specifically because I have nothing in this shade in my collection. Since I was getting a blush, I wanted to get something that would be unique. But because I don't have anything like this in my collection, I don't know if I will like it. This is also something that I haven't tried yet at all on my face or anywhere. I haven't even swatched it. I'll be applying the blush now. That will be quicker than contour, but let me continue with my updates. Something that really was an aha moment for me was when I realized that my way of thinking what to buy is not what it should be. I never really realized it was wrong before, or not really productive or useful. But always when I was buying something new, I would think, what if this was the only thing that I have? Is it enough? That is obviously good for products that I would use to travel, because then I could use just those things and they will be enough. But I don't travel for most of the time. I do travel a lot, but not that much. I've discovered, and that was my aha moment, that instead of focusing on what I already have and what this new thing could add to my collection, how it would complement the other things, how it would work together, I was always thinking of it as its own thing, as if I didn't have anything else. And because of that, I bought a lot of things that are similar just because they are what I like and what I would like to have as my only thing, but also a lot of basic things. So a lot of palettes that are nude, a lot of nude lipsticks, things like that. Now that I realize that whenever comes the moment when I decide to buy something new again to a category that I already have things in, I will really focus on thinking, what is it that will add value to the things that I already have, as opposed to be a value in itself, because I don't really need 5 things that add value in themselves if the value is the same. I always thought that I was being smart thinking this way. Now I think that that was actually the opposite. When I was buying this blush, I definitely wasn't thinking of it as the only thing that I would have. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if you're able to see this on camera, but I feel like I look very gray. I don't know if it's because of the contour that I used together with this. Maybe if I mix it with something else, it would look better, and I will definitely try it with other things. But I kind of imagined it being more bright, making my cheeks look more alive, and I feel like it made them look dead. Another reason why I might be feeling this way is that I don't think I used a single powder blush this year. So I'm very used to cream, liquid products for my cheeks and ending up with glowy, alive looking cheeks. So maybe I will be able to fix it when I add other things. But yeah, right now my first impression, to be honest, is not good. I feel great. Some other things that I was thinking about recently is how I want to learn to appreciate beautiful things without the need to own them. That definitely applies not only to makeup but also other things. I don't need to add every single thing I find beautiful to my collection of items that I possess. I am definitely capable of appreciating something pretty and then moving on and most likely forgetting about it. So that is definitely something I want to practice. I feel like I've been more successful in that practice with other things than makeup, because makeup is just something that I'm kind of used to buying and having. I haven't removed any makeup accounts that I follow on Instagram or makeup accounts that I follow on YouTube or whatever, TikTok. And in a way, knowing that I can't buy anything because of my Nobuy Year definitely helps. But I think that is something that I want to take along with me when my Nobuy Year ends, and continue to not feel pressured to own something just because I find it endearing. For my highlighter, I decided to use an older product that I have from Kaleidos. It's my Space Age highlighter in the shade Skywalker. Something interesting I'm noticing is how it's not sticking to my cheek because of how much powder I have on. We'll use the Fix Plus now. Okay, I'll try again now. Yeah, I think it's better now. My highlight is definitely there. I kind of feel like I am an ice queen or I am dead because of the color story that I'm rocking. But oh well, we'll continue with the theme because the next things I have are the eyeshadow palettes, and I have two eyeshadow palettes from Kaleidos. I have Cold Brew and Venus Trap. They look like this. Beautiful packaging. I really like that. One thing I don't like is that Cold Brew doesn't have any text on the back, so I need to rely on my memory to know what it is. Cold Brew is a brown palette, has 3 mattes and a glitter shade, I guess. I don't know the ingredients, but it doesn't feel like a pressed glitter, what I would think of. It's not plasticky, it's just a very sparkly eyeshadow that kind of gives a look of a pressed glitter. When I was picking it on the website, I definitely thought that this would be like an everyday palette, more warm toned, I guess, or neutral at least. But after using it once, and this is the only palette I've used, I have not used the other one, I found that it's very cool toned. I felt like I have a smoky eye or almost gray smoky eye. And speaking of that, Venus Trap, it has a very light pinky shade and 2 grays. I think I will use both of them and just see what happens. I don't know if you're feeling my level of excitement, but it's not very high because I'm not really into cool toned looks, and this is what I'm getting from Kaleidos, and that's not what I expected, to be honest. And I'll start with transitions from Cold Brew palette. Another feeling that I noticed myself having is kind of a repulsion to getting new things. Not to like getting them as gifts. I don't have that. I still like testing new makeup and I enjoy that. But if I'm gonna spend my money on something, I now really strongly feel about not wanting to have duplicates. I think there are a few things that help me to get there, and one of them is definitely my Excel sheet, because it made me aware of how many things I have, how often I use them. Also doing inventory videos is definitely something that helped me, because now I'm kind of showing to the public how much makeup I have, and I don't know, I feel more visible. And then lastly, reviewing and panning makeup is also something that made me really be conscious of how long it takes and what I like. I think in the past, if I found something that was just fine for me, I would use it up, I would think it was fine, and then I wouldn't really remember what I thought about it. I wouldn't really think about what I liked or what I didn't about it. So there was no conclusion. There was just a fine product that came and went. And now, because I'm project panning and reviewing the things that I'm panning and really thinking about it, doing my empties videos where I also think about would I repurchase the thing, I am kind of learning about what I like and what I don't. And I think that, together with knowing how much I have, is together a reason why I don't feel like adding anything new to my collection. When I think of buying something new that I don't really need now, even for my birthday when I'm allowed to buy something new, I imagine it being added to my collection. I imagine myself adding it to my Excel sheet. I imagine it being in my makeup drawer. And then I imagine myself still using the things that I'm already using because I have like 5 things of that category. I think that might be my favorite thing about doing my Nobuy Year as a project on YouTube and making it public. I have limited my purchases before. It's not the first time I'm doing this, but it's the first time I am thinking about it so much. It's the first time I'm talking about it so much. It's the first time that I'm actually becoming aware of my ways of thinking about makeup, purchases, about consumerism, about what I like or what I don't like. And it's very interesting. Getting to know yourself is always interesting. I studied psychology, so I guess I would feel that way. Still using this shade. I feel like it translates way darker on my eyes than in the pan. I only use this shade and this is all it created. I'm also thinking a lot about how many backups I have, and I'm definitely noticing that, first of all, tastes change. There's really no point in getting 5 of the same thing because yes, now you love it, but do you know if you will in 2 years when you'll still have like 2 of them left? And I feel like no. I'm definitely observing myself, and I do like using different things now than I liked before, and I expect myself to like different things in a year than I'm liking right now. But also something interesting, and in my opinion also very important, that I noticed is if I buy a backup and it's waiting to be used in a drawer or in a shelf and I'm seeing it from time to time, or even if I'm not seeing it, I am aware of it being there. It strips away the excitement of picking a new thing when that time comes. So if I have 2 powders, I don't know why I'm giving powders as examples always, but let's go with powders. If I have 2 powders and I bought them both at the same time, I'm not really the kind of person to be using both of them unless they serve different purposes. If they serve the same purpose, I will most likely just use one until it's done and then move on to the other. So then first of all, that other one is just waiting there. But also when I'm done with the first one, I might want something else. I might not want that other one that I have anymore. There might be something new in the market that I am more excited about than that one. And of course I should use that one because I already have it. But also it no longer feels new. It no longer feels exciting. It feels like something that I had for a long time. I feel like if I had just one powder, went through it completely, and didn't have any backups, then I can pick whatever I want at this moment in time. So I will be the most excited because I picked whatever I want in this moment. But also then when I get this thing, it's completely new. I haven't seen it before. I haven't tested it before. This scenario versus the other scenario has so many more benefits that it's hard for me to convince myself that that other scenario makes sense. The only time when I can see it making sense is if there is a thing that you always use, or I always use, repeatedly over and over. I don't want anything else. I have never wanted anything else. Or I feel like I have found the best possible thing that I know definitely that I will enjoy. Then yes. And I can see that happening with mascaras because they end pretty quickly. So if I can get a few of them at the same time for cheaper, then yeah, sure, that makes sense. That can also make sense with some skincare products because I feel like I go through them as well a bit faster. So if buying a few of those things at the same time will save me money, then yes, that makes sense. But if I'm thinking about the things that make me excited to buy them, doing that, even though in the moment it's exciting to buy all of those different things, I am stripping away the joy later. I'm borrowing the joy of the future me and taking it all at the same time. And then most likely I just feel overwhelmed from how many things I have. I'll try to deepen up my eyeshadow with this shade, considering this one was already so deep. I'm curious to see how deep this one can go, or if it will be almost the same. It is definitely not almost the same. It is definitely deeper. In a way, I feel like this could be the deepest shade for me. And I know that I'm speaking from a perspective of someone who has a light skin. Obviously, if your skin is deeper, then it will look differently on you and work differently. For me, yeah, that's quite deep. I'll blend everything out with the same brush that I used for the first shade. I think the biggest topic that I have been thinking about, and possibly the most interesting since I got a question about it in the past, is declutters and how I decided not to do declutters this year. I am allowing myself to declutter things that are expired or broken, as we have seen in my empties videos or project plans. That is fine, because then the product is no longer usable. What I'm thinking about is decluttering things that I have and they're fine, but I don't really like. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in one of the videos in the past, but at the end of 2022, I have decluttered quite a lot of my makeup, and that was not my first declutter. So I'm definitely not new to declutters. I'm not someone who's completely against them. I do see a point, I do see a purpose. The reason why I decided to not do them and why I decided that they're not good for me is because I noticed that I don't think I have a completely healthy relationship with them, I guess. I'm not using them in a way that I want to be using them. Decluttering, or the option of decluttering, made me value things less. First of all, when I was buying something new, I wasn't really thinking of it as a full purchase of a full product that I will need to go through fully, and I didn't really think if I want to do that. I was mostly thinking about it as something that I want to try, and then if I don't like it, I can always get rid of it. And honestly, I am not rich enough to have that mindset. First of all, not rich enough, but also it's very wasteful. It made me feel bad, it made me overbuy, and it made me over declutter. I feel like sometimes I would declutter things just to free up space for new things to acquire, which is definitely a waste of money, both in getting rid of things that are fine and in getting more things just because I have space. But yeah, it made me a reckless spender. It made me value my things less. It made me not really think about what it means to buy something. Basically, I don't want to be someone who buys makeup only to try it, even if I think I wouldn't like it. I'm not saying I will never do declutters again. I think I might declutter some things when my Nobuy Year ends. I'm not saying that I will never do that, but I did want to make that rule for myself, to think about it, to become more aware, to kind of unlearn habits, and to fix my relationship with my collection. And I was really thinking about whether I want to be forcing myself to use things that I don't really like. Does it really make more sense to just declutter them or give them to someone else? I think in some cases it does. I think I will take it on a case-by-case basis. I will just consider that and think about it every time that thought comes up. But I don't want that to be my first reaction. At the moment, that is my stance on declutters. It's an absolute no for this year. In the future, I want to be more cautious with them, and I want to be really thinking about why I'm decluttering something and how it might be affecting my spending habits. I think I want to try the Venus Trap palette now. I haven't touched it at all. I'm thinking to try and use this in my inner corner, inner half of the lid. I'm curious if it's actually pigmented and if it will show up or if it will be like a wash of color. In both cases, it will be fine. We'll work with that. And I think I might try deepening up the outer corner with this gray shade a bit more. Will be a very smoky look, but it is what it is. It's definitely visible. It's something in between of what I was saying. It's not completely just a wash of color, I suppose, but it's definitely not very pigmented. I guess it is quite pigmented, but it's not that pink. It's buildable. I think that's what it is. Initial application was a bit sheer, which made me think it's something in between. It's not bad. It's more grayish, whitish. I mean, everything is gray in this collection, so not a surprise. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is how surprised I am by how many things I got already this year. The amount of items that joined my collection this year is quite enormous. I think it's like 50 something. And I'll just make it very clear. I did not break my Nobuy. That gray is quite pigmented as well. I like it. It's not completely black, which usually is too dark for me because I am quite light. I might actually like it way more than I expected because it might be a perfect deepening shade for me. My year started with me receiving all of the orders that I placed at the end of December. So that was nice, but also not that nice. It was quite funny because obviously I was happy to get the things and I wanted them and I got them for a reason. But then when I realized that now I have to add them to my Excel, now I have to count them as things that I got this year, like those things made me have not a bad taste in my mouth, but it was kind of, I don't know how to describe that feeling, but like, And part of why I said that so many things joined my collection is because I ordered a lot of single shadows. Quite a lot from Glaminatrix, quite a lot from Cliona, and I counted each shadow as an individual item, of course, why wouldn't I? So just those shadows built a already big collection of new things that have joined my collection. But then also, when I was coming back from Lithuania to Czech Republic, where I'm from Lithuania and I live in Czech Republic, there was some issues with my flights, so I had to stay on the airport and I didn't get my suitcase and I had to buy a bunch of things because I didn't have anything. And yeah, I didn't buy any makeup then, but I bought a sunscreen because I think that's essential. I bought a makeup remover, I bought a deodorant. Even though they are not makeup items, I am counting them as cosmetic purchases. So they were included on my list of things that joined my collection this year. Hi. I didn't realize that my phone ran out of space, so you have missed quite a bit. I think by the time it cut off, I was pretty much done with my updates, luckily. But I have applied quite a lot of makeup since then, so I'll just quickly walk you through what I did. When it cut off, I was already done with my matte base, so I just applied my NYX glitter primer. I then applied both of the shimmers from the Kaleidos palettes. This shade from Cold Brew on the outer part of my lid, and then this shade from the Venus Trap on the inner part of my lid. My conclusions were that they are pretty much only glitters. They're very sparkly, which is very nice. And the Venus Trap one is way more intense than the Cold Brew one. Cold Brew one is already quite glam, but very shy and timid compared to this one. This is what you see all over my lid. Almost all over my lid because it took over. And I feel like if I was going to a concert, a club, or red carpet gala, that's what I would pick because of how intense and glamorous and sparkly it is. Then I also applied my Skywalker shade in my inner corners, and I also added the same Skywalker shade on my brow bone. The next thing I did is I moved on to the eyeliners, and I mentioned how I have 3 of them. I have Night of Creation, Tourmaline, and Sea Sparkle. Because I used Sea Sparkle the least out of all three of them, I decided to go with it. I guess also because I felt like it would fit the most. So Sea Sparkle is a sparkly baby blue. It doesn't really shift, it's not really duochrome or multichrome like the other ones. Nonetheless, it's a very pretty shade, and that is what I applied in my waterline. I have used the eyeliners already quite a few times, so if you're curious, you can check out some of my looks that I've created on my Instagram account. So now I'll just add mascara and then we'll move on to the lips. I used my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara that I got as a gift with purchase with one of my Sephora orders last year. I don't hate it, I don't think I love it either. Now we'll be trying on the 3 lip products that I have. I got 2 lip glosses and a liquid lipstick. I believe these are called Lip Clouds. Cloud Lab Lip Clay. I have it in the shade Pink Himalayan because it's kind of a liquid lipstick and I do want to try the other things first. I will leave it for the end. Then I also have 2 lip glosses and I have the shade Elixir, which is a mauvey pink, and I don't really have a scent. And the shade Free Fall, which is a silver glittery shade. You probably couldn't even notice, but I did have a lip gloss on when I just started this video, and it was this one. Even though it's quite gray and glittery in the tube, if I apply it on my bare lips, it kind of looks like a translucent gloss with some sparkle. So that's how it looks like. I think I was a bit worried that it will look very gray and unwearable, but seeing that this is how it is, it's pretty much translucent, sparkles nicely. It probably will layer very nicely on top of lipsticks. There's not much color in it. It's not extremely moisturizing, but it's also not drying. It's not the Clarins lip oil kind of thing, but it's good. I will now remove it and then apply the shade Elixir. So this is a mauvey muted pink shade. Definitely has some coverage. This is how it looks like. I kind of love it. I really like the shade. I think I picked very well, which I'm very happy about. I think I would wear it more often than Free Fall. It feels very everyday and natural, and the formula is comfortable. It gives a little bit of coverage, so it's not completely a nude lip with a bit of shine. It's also some shape, which I really like. Obviously, this is just a first impression, so take it with a grain of salt, but so far I'm happy. And now I will apply the lip clay in the shade Pink Himalayan. I used to have a lip clay before in a different shade. I remember liking it because it was so lightweight and easy to use, but also it doesn't contain a lot of product, so I ran out of it extremely fast. It's not really a liquid lipstick, it's more of a whipped putty kind of formula. If you're a fan of blotted lips, I imagine this would make it extremely easy to have that look. I usually go for a more defined, crisp, visible lines, so this is not perfect for that, but I think I did it. I like it. Definitely the shade goes with the general theme of the video, cool toned. I don't know how I picked this, but I honestly thought it would be a bit more pink and a bit more nude. I think on me it's definitely not a nude shade, it's kind of rosy, light brown, I would say. I'm not mad at it though, I think it looks nice. I definitely think it works with this look, and I already tried this formula before. I am kind of curious to see if I still like it. So far, it definitely dried. It doesn't really transfer, there's some transfer, but not too much. I don't remember the longevity though, so I can't really tell you much about that. Something I want to do now is to try the Free Fall lip gloss on top of it. The lip gloss definitely melted the lip clay. It does now look like a gloss, and I think that it wouldn't stay on very long if I tried to eat or drink with it. One thing that is making me a bit disappointed in the Free Fall lip gloss is that I don't see any sparkles. Something that made me buy it is seeing many Instagram posts from different people showing off how sparkly it is. This is not exactly what I expected. It's looking pretty much like a clear lip gloss. So if you're thinking about buying that, you might not be getting the Instagram, TikTok, whatever look. This is the finished look. Some of my conclusions are it's a lot of powder. I am not a fan of a lot of powder. However, I think that if I don't use those things all at once, if I maybe include them in my routine in different ways, together with my cream products, it might fix that issue. I don't think I would create the same look again, but I'm not hating the blush. I think that at the beginning I really didn't like it, but now I feel like it looks actually quite natural on me. It does look like it's just my flushed cheek. So I'll continue using it and testing it, maybe not immediately because, like I said, I'm not really into powder blushes now. I'll keep you updated if I have new thoughts. Also, if you have any questions about any of the products that I used today or about any of the thoughts that I was talking about, please let me know in the comments. I really enjoy seeing people respond to what I'm saying. It makes me feel like I'm not speaking into the void. And it's great to see that other people have similar feelings, similar thoughts, similar conclusions, are going through similar experiences. I hope that listening to me talk about my Nobuy Year gives that feeling to you. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, leave a comment, share, and if you think you're into this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! This is so sparkly. What the hell?